Hello and welcome to the show with me, Sam Webster Harris. As always, we are breaking down the psychology of self-improvement to come away with practical lessons that you can apply in your life using facts and science instead of just opinions. And on the show today, we have what feels intuitively like a light topic to me, but is deceptive because we're going to go incredibly deep and actually consider at a fundamental level what is the point of our life and everything that we're doing within it. And on that mysterious statement, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the concept of games that we play and the fact that we are always playing a game, whether that is a game to win or lose, or a game that you play for the love of it, or even a game that you had no idea you were even playing. Every single moment of your life there is something at stake, which isn't a cause to worry or spend every single moment feeling anxious. It's just kind of a fact that something is always going on. If you ignore your partner, they'll stop feeling so loved. If you make someone smile, they are more likely to help you. If you choose a job for status and pay that you're actually not that into, you're going to have less time with family, less time for personal projects. You'll have a lot more stress and you'll have to start playing the game with the doctor of how to make yourself healthy again. And the problem with all these different games that are just going on through our life that we play is that they have less concrete rules to them than a standard game like football or chess, where you know what you can and can't do and that you're just trying to win this simple game. What would count as winning in the general game of life for one person is very different for another person, which is why I run the podcast and try to present facts of how thinking works so you can decide what to think for yourself rather than telling you what to just go and think, because that's not actually that useful. What works for one person is really not that useful for someone else. And there's another quirk in the game of life, or issue if you will, and that is that there are expectations for how to play the game that often don't relate to how the game is really played or hides some of the other ways that you can play it. So I'll give a very arbitrary example, taking LinkedIn, which over 1 billion people on the planet are on LinkedIn playing the game of LinkedIn. It looks like it's a site for the game of getting a job or finding people to work for you, which it is. Hence they've been an advertiser on my show for 3 years, and millions of businesses and people do use it for finding jobs or finding work. Each person should fill up their prior experience and their job roles and perhaps write about their diligent approach to working and use lots of action-oriented superlatives about themselves. And of course, for the game of finding a job, this makes sense. You should at least appear serious about trying to find a job and painting a shinier picture about your skills. But there is a second level to the game of LinkedIn, which if you've been in it for a while, you'll notice straight away, and that's for B2B or startups and investors. And these users really make a point of trying to grow their network for potential business deals or to find funding for their startup. They will often post wise and inspiring content about random events in their life, and they'll find a way to demonstrate their business prowess and analytical mind to problem solving on whatever it is they happen to be talking about. Like, ooh, my kid started a lemonade stand today, and here's how he distributed tasks between his sister and his friends. Then he created a pay system so everyone was rewarded fairly, and he reacted to customer interest and feedback, even balanced pricing on demand. And it's lovely, but it's also kind of a popularity in a bragging contest where you have to look like you aren't trying to do either, because that would be lame, and no one wants to admit to doing that. Hence the term humble bragging. The goal behind this game is that the more popularity and the more wisdom you can share, the more people might want to do business with you or maybe fund your startup. If you have social proof, that's very powerful. And when the coolest and most influential people in your domain are commenting on your posts and seem to be getting on with you, that's a very big seal of social approval in the network for being a business professional. But what if you don't need either a job or business opportunities? Then what is LinkedIn for, and what game might you be playing? Have you leveled up and the game is complete? because this is a situation I found myself in. As I'm not looking for a job or business opportunities, I've really blissfully ignored LinkedIn for a year. Then I did remember that people use it for growing an audience, and as I'm a content creator, perhaps that's what I should be doing. And despite a sudden strong urge to run away, I concluded that I was perhaps being a bit opinionated and LinkedIn isn't actually as bad as it sounds. And if anybody looks at my profile, do I at least want to give them a good impression of who I am? And of course, the answer is yes. Currently, every time I read my LinkedIn profile, I slightly want to vomit in my lap and spend 5 hours standing in the shower, shave my head and just wash the filth out of me. So I could have, of course, improved that. My title used to read 4 times founder, investor in 100 companies, been to 60 countries, ultramarathon and podcaster, which, okay, it's not that bad, but it's still more braggy than my personality is. So I changed it to now read bad emailer, awkward podcaster, erratic investor, and reliable friend. This feels more accurate for me on many levels about who I am. And I also like the contrast of just confessing to my negative angles in a platform where everybody highlights their savvy achievements. So I feel like I'm now playing a game for the love of playing a game rather than because I'm following some rules that someone's told me. Now I realize that how you use LinkedIn might not be relevant for this, but we're about to step much deeper into the general concept of what is your life for and what are you doing with it when we visit my About section on LinkedIn. If you haven't read many LinkedIn About sections, it can be a bit of a fest of just action-orientated verbs, and it has a vibe of like a very eager cover letter whilst highlighting one's own incredible attitude. And personally, I have long agreed with the theory that you shouldn't tell people that you are funny, you should make them laugh. You shouldn't really try to convince people of any qualities about yourself by telling them. You should instead live them. So could I use my About section to just be myself instead of telling people about myself? And as I'm playing the LinkedIn game for fun, and my profile does mean as much to me as about a banana, I may as well have fun, which might not sound like I'm about to give you a lesson on what to do with your life, but trust me, I am. The first 2 lines that I wrote on my About section was that 99% of time spent on LinkedIn is wasted time, but reading this About section is the 1% moment that will change your life. And having written that bold statement, which is all you see on the About section unless you click more, I was really just trying to sell people on reading the rest of whatever my philosophy happens to be. So I'll go on to give you my idea of what things you should actually think about when it comes to changing your life. So now that we're aligned that this is a life-changing moment for you and you're still reading, or in this case listening, let's dig in. I am not special, and neither are you, nor is any LinkedIn About section, and that's okay. The more seriously you take things, the less fun they are. When you want to promote yourself, instead try to amuse yourself. If you like someone, tell them. If you think you'd be good at something, do it. Don't ask someone to let you do it, just do it. If you feel okay about your life, but there is a niggling feeling it could be better, that is on you. No one will tell you what you should really do. No one will tell you where you need to go. Success is a deeply personal feeling that has nothing to do with expectations from society, expectations from friends, or expectations from your family. You might feel the urge to seek more when in fact you would enjoy less. You'll often find that you'll be seeking approval when what you actually want is independence. You might find yourself reading LinkedIn About sections when you should be reading books. If you have a good idea, there are probably 10 more good ideas that could happen. If you start getting into the practice of taking action on your ideas, there are bound to be 100 more good ideas lying behind that one. If something feels important, urgent, or difficult, it's okay. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. The best thing you can do for yourself is to make others feel good about themselves. A good business delivers a warm, fuzzy feeling of satisfaction. So does good music, so does good food, and of course, good friends. People gravitate towards a supply of warm, fuzzy feelings. And all the decisions that we make are emotional. The best thing you can do for yourself is to make others feel good about themselves. The next thing to realize is that you are defined by the gap between the things you want to do in the present and the things you want to have done in the future. Things that you think you would like to do but never do are little consistent failures every day that make you unhappy. So desire less. If you think you'd be good at something, do it. Don't wait for someone to tell you to do it. Don't wait for someone to let you do it. And don't wait for someone to help you do it. Just do it. If you aren't willing to do it, you probably don't want to do it. Do you remember that I said the more seriously you take things, the less fun they are? Well, think more about what you would enjoy to do rather than what would look good. And don't listen to others when you could be listening to yourself. You're not a small speck that's navigating the universe. In fact, the universe and everything in it are just a bunch of ideas that navigate your mind. Your mind is the only thing you have, and you don't own anything else. Even your body will break. And ultimately, life is a game and you are the only player. So amuse yourself. And that's the end of my LinkedIn About section because I ran out of space. But it leads us conveniently back to the message of this episode, which is, what game are you playing? And more on that after the break. When you play a game in VR, for example, if you look down, there are always these weird hands floating there beneath you. It's kind of odd. And sometimes it can feel like the character is staying still in this world. And there's a sense that the world that you are exploring is on a treadmill beneath you. And as you move forwards, it can sometimes feel like you are staying still and the world is coming towards you. And if that sounds like a weird example, you might better understand the feeling, which is when you sit on a train that's going nowhere, but a train next to you moves and you feel like you're going to fall over. What I'm talking about here is that you're going nowhere, but you feel like you're moving, because this is actually what's happening in real life, which sounds absurd, but follow me here. When the real you looks down with your eyes at your body, you always have the same body there. You have the same arms floating there just beneath you, sitting there doing their thing. And they are always there for your entire life. You can never look down and see something other than yourself. And your vision is always in the middle of everything you experience. And the center of your reality has never actually moved in your life. Just the world around you has just moved beneath it. And your mind has basically stayed still. You, the real actual you, your consciousness hasn't moved a millimeter. It's just stuck there in the middle of your sort of experiencing self in your head. The world is just moving around in relation to it. You could say that you're playing Grand Theft Life in real mode, one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, or just let it slip. So when things in your life start to feel really serious, check if you are actually playing in a game that you chose, or you're getting lost in the wrong level and you need to level up. And of course, maybe you use LinkedIn for finding jobs. That's a fine way to play the game. But there are so many games in life that you can play differently. Even as a kid, we were all obsessed with trying to look cool, whatever the way it was to look cool. But actually, there was usually one kid just doing their thing that they enjoy, having fun, that you couldn't persuade to think differently, who just wasn't interested in playing the same game. And they didn't care if people liked them or not, and yet somehow people still liked them. The philosophy book called Gödel, Escher, Bach is one of the most incredible books and also mostly very difficult to read. But it suggests that there are 3 modes that we can approach any problem. There is the machine mode, which is reacting to inputs and instructions at the surface level. So like on LinkedIn, just doing what you're told, which is seeking jobs. Or the next mode is intelligent mode, where you step back and try to apply some extra intelligence to play the game better or differently. Like the LinkedIn example, being more of a B2B person trying to hustle and get influence. Or there is the Zen mode, where you don't care to play the game at all because it actually doesn't matter. Like not wasting time on LinkedIn if you don't need a job, or not trying to seek social approval from people doing things that you don't actually care about. And this is a really powerful lens that you can look at lots of things in your life, like social media. The machine mode of looking at social media is being on platforms because you should be, trying to stay informed with things, trying to create content so that you look good, opening your social media app several times a day. The intelligent mode would be to use it rarely, try to connect with the people you like, block out the content that isn't that sensible for you to be there with, schedule sharing stuff and try not to worry about it. But the Zen mode is to just not bother with social media. And you really don't need to. Like, I know plenty of people very successful in their life, happy with many relationships, not on social media. It's fine. You could look at the news. Machine mode would be following the news diligently. It's important, regular updates, and you're pumped with a specific worldview that everything is going to hell in a handbasket. And that makes it feel like it's even more important to watch the news regularly and be very diligent at playing the game of watching the news, even though you're probably getting a warped, one-side political view from whichever news outlet you follow. Well, there's then the intelligent mode, where you seek multiple views from different sides, different news sources, all over the political spectrum, perhaps even taking news sources from different countries and different people, being willing to engage in open different forms of long-form, interesting stuff that doesn't necessarily support your view, perhaps listening to podcasts about things, and that would be intelligent. But there's also the Zen mode, where you just stop following the news because the world is improving on every metric. And if anything really big is happening, like COVID, you're going to hear about it, so you don't really need to follow the news at all, if you didn't feel like playing the game. And any level of playing the game is okay, but you should be aware which mode you're using, because you are always playing the game unless you have intentionally stepped back from it. And as a concept, I found this a really powerful way to look at life and basically everything you do. And I certainly appreciate that most people need to use LinkedIn to get jobs and shouldn't go and trash their LinkedIn because if they feel like having fun. That's fine. I only use that example because that's where I'd written a speech about how to change your life. And it was just an arbitrary analogy for any game in life that you think you need to take seriously, because there are probably other ways to play it that you maybe haven't seen. For now, what I'd like you to take away is that instead of trying to convince people of a quality about you, instead focus on just being the person that you would like them to think of you as, regardless of what they actually think, because all that matters is who you actually are. There are so many games that we get caught up in for no good reason. You could play the game very differently to be more true to yourself, or you could not even play the game at all, which it turns out in many things in life you really don't need to play, and you might be a lot better off for it. If something about the episode resonated with you and you think you know someone that would like it, please do send it to them, because that is how the show grows. And of course, if you're feeling super generous, then you can help me out with one of the biggest games that I'm playing in life, which is the podcaster game. And you can give me some social proof by sticking a good review on there, because it genuinely does make a difference when people are deciding what to listen to. So that would be appreciated. I'm certainly playing the podcast game on machine mode, and I am aware of it. Oh, lordy. If you want to do any further reading on this topic, I can suggest anything by Alan Watts, because he's a lovely man. Then the book Finite and Infinite Games by James P. Carse is brilliant on the concept of games that you play that are finite, like a game of Monopoly or chess that you're trying to win, or games that are infinite that you play for the love of playing, which is absolutely growth mindset, like getting better at being a partner or improving your communication. And you should certainly think about your health as an infinite game and not a finite game that you win over 1 month diet, because the game of health is in fact infinite. The book Finite and Infinite Games is a little heavy going, and if you don't read a lot of hardcore philosophy, I would recommend Simon Sinek's version, which is just called The Infinite Game. It's a bit more of an entry level. However, if you are into your very hardcore philosophy, then the ultimate book is Gödel Escher Bach. That is, I would call it a project. I wouldn't read this as an easygoing nighttime book. This is more like you need to sit down for half an hour each day and wrap your head around like a few pages and make a lot of notes. So I would recommend anyone to take it on, but you have been warned. And on that, I did quote some Eminem earlier on in this episode, so let's continue where we left off. Lose yourself. In the music, the moment. You own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Go. Thank you so much for listening.
Go you!
Your consistency to reach the end of an episode is legendary.
My hero!
If you have any ideas or feedback for the show, I'm always interested to hear from you.
You're the best!
Studies show we need time for information to sink in, so I'm going to give you a 5-second pause, silence, to reflect on one idea from the show before you jump back into your busy life. Ready and go.